Okay, welcome to the next in your lessons, your maths lessons, continuing with fractions and decimals. And as always, please take time now to pause and practice your arithmetic fluency. Okay, welcome back. First thing that we are going to do now is we are going to just do some counting together. Now, if you are with someone, of course, you can count with them. You can pause the video. You can try and work out what the steps are going to be, or you can just watch on, you can count along with me once I've explained. So what we have at the top here is a stick, and that stick is divided into 10 equal parts. Now, the lower end of my stick is 2/10, and my apologies, and the upper end of my stick is worth 3/10. So what is the whole stick worth? How much greater is this leap? Well, all I've done, haven't I, is I've added on a tenth. The whole thing is just equal to 1/10. So if the whole thing is equal to a tenth, what is just one of these sections equal to? Well done if you were able to identify that it's actually equal to 1/100th, because I've taken a tenth and I've split that tenth into 10 equal parts. So each of those will be 1/100th. Now, what I'm going to do now is start counting on. So I know that 2/10 is equal to 20/100ths. So I can start from 2/10 and count on all together, please. 21/100ths, 22/100ths, 23/100ths, 24/100ths, 25/100ths, 26/100ths, 27/100ths, 28/100ths, 29/100ths, and this would be 30/100ths, which is equal to 3/10. I know that because I could divide both the numerator and denominator by 10 to get to that fraction. Now, the bottom representation is exactly the same, but instead of me counting on in fractions, and this time I'm going to count on in decimals. So my whole thing is equal to 0.1. I've added 0.1 to get from 0.2 to 0.3. I need to add on 0.1. I've added a tenth, 0.1 being a tenth, just like I did on my first one. Now, count along with me, please, from 0.2, add in 0.01 each time. So 0.21, 0.22, 0.23, 0.24, 0.25, 0.26, 0.27, 0.28, 0.29, and 0.3. Have a little second now, or pause the video, just to familiarize yourself with the star words. We have two new star words this lesson, and those ones are mixed number and improper fraction. So that might be something that you already have an idea what it is. It might be something that you're not too sure what it is. If you are working with an adult at home, this would be a great time for you to stop and pause the video and just say, yes, I've heard of those before, and have a guess at what they might be, or maybe you definitely know what they are. Maybe you've not heard of them at all, and that's okay. But if you are working with an adult at home, this would be a good time for you to discuss what they could be, and we will learn later what they are. And if you are working on your own, this might be a time for you just to pause and reflect and have a think about what they might be. Okay, improper fractions are fractions where the denominator, let's say in this case 3, is smaller than the numerator. So let's say 4. Now, you might be thinking, how can I have 4/3? Because what we're used to seeing is, we're used to thinking, aren't we, of our fractions, say, as pizzas. And how many equal parts have we split it into? Well, we're split into 3 equal parts. How can I take 4 from these 3 equal parts? Well, I have to take 1, 2, 3, and then I have to have another third as well. So this is 4 thirds. Now, 4 thirds, you can see the numerator is greater than the denominator. Another way that I could say this is I've got, well, 1 whole one and 1 third. And 1 whole one and 1 third. That is a mixed number. I have a mix of whole numbers and a fraction. That's why we call it a mixed number. So an improper fraction is where my numerator is greater than the denominator. And a mixed number is where I have a mix of whole numbers and fractions. Now, we might be asked to convert in between improper fractions to mixed number. And here is how we do that. Let's start with the improper fraction 7. Oh, bear with me. Let's start with the improper fraction 7 halves. 7 halves. So I've got more than 1 whole one. Now, how do I work out what this is as a mixed number? Well, here is what I need to do. I need to remember from my previous lessons that 2 halves is equal to 1 whole. Think about it. If I have a whole, I split it into 2 equal halves. There's 1 of them, and there's 2 of them. So how many lots of 2 halves can I take out of 7 halves? So I need to go 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. So I can take out 3. I can take out 6 halves, which is 3 whole ones. And then I'm left with 1 half because I took out 6 halves of my 7 halves. And that is how I work out how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number. Let's go over that one again. Here we have 9 quarters. Okay, well, I know that 4 quarters is equal to 1. How many lots of 4 can I take out of 9? Well done if you realise that the answer is 2. I can take out 2 whole lots of 4, which is 8. So I can take out 8 quarters, which is 2. Then how many quarters have I got left over? Well done if you worked out the answer is 1. Now, some of you might be realising this is very similar to that bus stop method division that we do. We are using the same sort of math skills. Let's have a few more goes at converting improper fractions to mixed number. This time, I'm going to put 2 on the board, and then I would like you to pause and have a go at them either on paper or just by talking to the person next to you if you're with an adult, or if not, just thinking through it. So let's have a go at 7 thirds. What is that as a mixed number? How many whole ones can I take out of that? And then how many are left over? And then let's try 12 fifths. So pause the video now to try and work those out. Okay, welcome back. So let's work on this top question first. So I want to take out lots of 3 thirds from 7 thirds. So how many times can I take 3 out of 7? So 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to take it out 2 whole times because that is 6 thirds. And that leaves me with 1 third left over. So 2 whole ones, which was equal to 6 thirds. And I take that away from the 7 thirds to give me a third left. So that as a mixed number is 2 thirds. Let's have a go at this bottom one. So how many times can I take 5 away from 12? Well, 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So 2 whole times I can take 5 out of 12, and it will leave me 2 fifths left over. Okay, we might be asked to do this the other way. Now, when you get to your independent task, it's going to be a mixture of all different types of converting from one thing to the other. And that's absolutely fine for you to be rewatching this video and pausing and having a go and pausing and having a go at each question. Okay, so now we're converting the mixed number to improper fractions. So we're just doing the whole thing backwards. This one is a little bit easier. So let's start with 2 and 2/3. How could I express this as a number of just thirds? So my denominator is always going to stay the same. Well, the way I do it is I multiply the whole number by the denominator. 2 times 3 is 6. And so I have 6/3 here, and I have 2/3 here. So 2 is the same as 6/3 and 2/3. Well, 6/3 add 2/3 is 8/3. So we'll have a few goes at those again. Allow me to explain one more time. I start with a mixed number, and I want to convert it to an improper fraction. The denominator stays the same. I need to multiply the whole number and the denominator. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. And then I add on the 2 to give me 22. One more time. I start with a mixed number, and I want to convert it to an improper fraction. The denominator stays the same. I multiply the whole number by the denominator. 3 times 5 is 15. And then I add on the numerator. 15 add 2 is 17. Have a go at these on your own. Okay, welcome back, and well done if you were able to work through those. So what we have first is 2.5. Now, first thing I need to remember is the denominator stays the same. The denominator is always going to stay the same. I need to multiply the whole number by the denominator. 2 times 2 is 4, and add the 1 is 5. Let's do that same process again for the bottom one. My denominator is going to stay the same. I do the whole number multiplied by the denominator, which is 32. And then I add on the 1, which is 33. Well done if you got the answers. 5 halves and 33 eighths. Okay, the next thing I might need to do is be converting mixed number, let's say 1 and 2/10, into a decimal number. So let's have a think of our place value chart. We have ones, the decimal point, we have tenths, we have hundredths, and on, both ways. Okay, how many whole ones have I got in this number, 1 and 2/10? Well done if you worked out that here I've got 1. I've got 1 whole one. And how many tenths do I have? I have 2/10. So writing 1 and 2/10 as a decimal number would be 1.2. Can you have a go then at this one for me? I've got 3 and 4/10. What would that be as a decimal? Okay, well done if you worked out that you had 3 whole ones and 4/10. I write that as 3.4. Now, I might not always get my mixed number as tenths, but that is something that we will be thinking about a little bit later, okay? The last thing that I want to do is convert decimals into fractions. So going back the other way, if it asks you just to convert it into a fraction and doesn't specify an improper fraction or a mixed number, it's entirely up to you. I would suggest mixed number is the easiest way to do it. Okay, so converting a decimal number into a fraction. So let's start with this decimal number. I've got 4.7. So it might help you to try and remember what the place value columns are. Well, this place value is the ones. I've got 4 ones. And this place value column is tenths. So I have 4 ones. And what are 4 ones? Well, it's just 4. And I have 7 tenths. How do I write that as a fraction? I write that like that. 7 tenths. Have a go at doing this one. On your own. Okay, well done if you followed the exact same process that we just used and worked out. I've got 6 ones and I've got 2 tenths. 6 and 2 tenths. Okay, here I would like you to stop and have a go at these 4 on your own, seeing if you can now remember how to convert one of these types of fraction or decimal to the other. If you want at this point, you might need to rewind the video and have another think or have another rewatch of how we do each of these things. Okay, welcome back. So the first thing that we are doing is making 5 quarters a mixed number. So how many whole lots of 4 can I take out of 5? I can take 1. 1 times 4 is 4. So if I take 4 away from 5, 4 quarters away from that, I'm left with 1 quarter. So well done if you got that answer. Next, I'm going to write 4 3/4 as an improper fraction. So remember, the denominator always stays the same. I multiply the whole number by the denominator, which is 16, and add on the 3. 16 add 3 is 19. So well done if you got 19 quarters for that. Next, I have 3 2 tenths. And I'm going to write that as a decimal. So I know that I have how many whole ones? Well, I've got 3 whole ones, and 2 will go in my tenths column because I have 2 tenths. Last, going back the other way now, I have 8.2, which I want to write as a fraction. So how many whole ones do I have? I have 8. And what do I have here? I've got 2 in the tenths column. So I have 8 and 2 tenths. Okay, your independent task looks something like this. It is a Google Doc. Now, for each of these, what you need to do is write whether the answer is true or false and then explain why. You will notice that each of the inequalities or each of the pictures, they have something in decimals and something in fractions, or they have a mixed number and an improper fraction. So you need to work out how you're going to convert, which one you're going to convert and how you're going to convert it. Now you will notice that some of the fractions aren't tenths like we have been working on. So it might be easier for you to try and convert both to fractions, both to improper fractions, both to mixed number. It's entirely up to you which way you do this. And just like the task yesterday, there is no one correct way, but some ways might be easier and more efficient than others. So say, for example, for the first one, you decided I'm going to convert 4.2 into a mixed number. So I'm going to convert it into 4 2/10. I still can't quite compare 4 2/10 to 20/5. I then need to work out how to make them comparable fractions. And in order to do that, they'll need to both be over the same denominator. So it might be easier to try and convert to decimals for the first one, for example. It might be a case that you need to first convert into a mixed number, and then from a mixed number into a decimal. There might be 2 parts in the question. The reason that you only have 4 questions is because there's lots of maths to do and lots of trial and error. For each one, you need to say whether the 2 things are equal to each other, and then explain your answer. And if you just write true, false, or true, or whatever you write and don't explain your answer, it's going to be really tricky for myself or Miss Lobo to work out, if you have made any mistakes, where those mistakes are. So do your best. Remember just to keep with it, use some trial and error, and keep referring back to the video. Over to you.